I'm Alana Wight, and I am the costume designer for Enso Theater's Romeo and Juliet.
Perfect.
What I've been exploring a lot of is making sure that the audience can see themselves in the characters. It's not just like your traditional Shakespearean show where everything is kind of at arm's length. No matter who is watching this show, you will see somebody that you know. Even if it's just like, oh crap, my best friend wears that hat, you're automatically going to be making that kind of emotional connection with that person, whether or not you know it. There's always going to be a gradient between generations, and I think we're at a really interesting point because millennials, they've kind of had the whole no technology, and then now they're being inundated with this worldwide swath of information. For the most part, it's made everybody much more artistic. It's made everybody considerably more open-minded, again, to a certain extent. And it's made everyone slightly more empathetic. Naturally, that represents itself in the clothing gradient. So we want to kind of pull that into play, but not in such an obvious way. It should be what your mom would wear. It's what your crazy little sister who's at college at Wesley would wear. It's what somebody at UC Berkeley would wear. We've toyed with the idea of Lady Capulet, or rather just Capulet. Having combined the two, Lady and Lord Capulet, she has a lot of different facets to her. I find her really interesting because we've been toying the idea of attaching her to a tablet. She's so focused on the here and the now, and she's so well put together and so structured and so type A. It's interesting how you see that within her family kind of trickle down and dissipate as we go from generation to generation. And then Romeo and Juliet themselves, because they are, so part of that generation, and Romeo is so angsty and so artistic, and then Juliet is this, in the beginning slightly impish and such a sweet and kind-hearted character, and she finally brings this sense of levity into Romeo's life, and I think that's a really beautiful juxtaposition. I like the idea of playing with that within this kind of angsty, artistic, Basquiat-esque generation. I think the best of people could. God, it'd be so hard because the divisions are so ingrained at this point, and I think that's the biggest part. Not only would you have to be outside of yourself enough to be able to choose to love somebody, but you have to initially break the bonds of how you were raised. We're so inundated with all these rules that we aren't necessarily even aware of, and I think breaking free of that would be far more difficult than making the choice to love.